Good evening, everyone. First Alert Storm Team meteorologist Joseph Williams with First Alert Storm Team's Eric Whitehill. And before I show both of our faces really fast, I just want to mention, again, we have that First Alert weather night, more or less. First Alert weather day, but technically First Alert weather night through Thursday night because of that threat of severe storms. So before I get to what's happening right now, let's talk about some context. Again, we have that First Alert weather day through Thursday night as severe storms are possible, and in fact we do have an isolated severe storm in the northern areas of our region as of 8:27 p.m. Biggest threats will be Lyme-sized hail. Can't rule out gusts up to 75 miles per hour and even an isolated tornado threat. Now, the slight risk has shrunk a bit. Earlier, that slight risk and marginal risk covered the Devils Lake Basin. It's actually moved a little bit southeast. It's only, quote-unquote, covering much of the James River Valley and eastern North Dakota, the Red River Valley, and northwest Minnesota. So a significant portion of our region, I'm thinking about 70 to 80% of our region, still potentially expecting severe weather over the next several hours during the evening overnight hours. Bringing the threat up a bit, we have that low risk for tornado threat because we are under a cold front situation that is bringing some vorticity, which means some spin possible with any storms tonight, and thus that tornado risk. Wind threat greater still. We're looking at an elevated wind threat up to 75 miles per hour in spots, and hail threat up to 2 inches at least, and some areas may see higher amounts, and that threat will be greatest between the James River Valley and the Red River Valley in northwest Minnesota. So to recap, most of our region could potentially see some large hail, damaging winds, and that severe storm threat. So what I'm going to do is quickly go to the First Alert radar, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up our faces now. So thanks for joining us again. First Alert Storm Team meteorologist Joseph Williams with our First Alert Storm Chaser here, Eric Whitehill. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Normally I'm in the field on a night like tonight, but you know what? There's no other better place to be other than in the studio with you.
And definitely needed because otherwise I'd be by myself, basically, and that's not fun for anybody.
Now, it makes it a little bit of a busy night.
Definitely, with that severe storm threat. So we've been tracking this for the past, couple of days, and especially over the past couple of hours. We even looked at the radar, and the radar is looking more fascinating. We'll get to that in a second. So let me pull that up a little bit. Eric, is there anything you want to add about what's going on with the radar right now?
The good news is we only have one isolated cell, one isolated storm, and that's in our far northern valley, portions of Grand Forks County. It's starting to move into Marshall County on the Minnesota side of the river now.
And just to give some context, if I were to show you a synoptic map, I didn't have enough time to make a map, but basically you have a cold front right around here, and luckily, as Eric mentioned, we only have that isolated severe storm warning. Let's take a closer look at that. So let's talk about this one.
Yeah, so the storm, it's warned for large hail, damaging winds. We've been looking at the strength of the storm. We're going to get a little technical because we can. Yeah. We've been watching the strength of what we call the updraft, which is how strong this storm is actually getting. How high is it getting into the atmosphere? It's getting around 40,000 feet in the atmosphere, which that's pretty tall. That's pretty high.
I mean, your tallest storms can get up to 50 or 60,000 feet.
Absolutely. And for this time of the night, for this time of the year, 40,000 feet, that's nothing to sneeze at. And with it, what that is telling us, how strong that updraft is, what are our biggest risks? And our biggest risk for that, it's going to be the hail and the winds. And we're already seeing the hail size radar estimated of about 1.25 inches. We have not seen any damage reports yet, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we're watching right now is to see, okay, is this storm going to continue to maintain this strength? But if I'm in Warren, if I'm starting to get more towards the east, we expect these storms to continue to develop. With that cold front that you mentioned, Joseph, we're expecting to see some more storm development up and down that cold front.
Yeah, and we'll actually get to the HRRR in just a second. I want to point out this storm is moving east at 30 miles per hour, and at that rate, it's already on top of Alvarado, and it'll make its way into March within the next 10 minutes, Warren within the next 20 or so minutes. Now, this severe thunderstorm warning does expire at 8:45 p.m., but I wouldn't be surprised if they did try to extend this at least because look at the reds. That indicates some strong downpours, a lot of moisture, a lot of instability with this storm at least. So basically, if you're in parts of Marshall and Polk counties, I'd recommend having a severe weather plan in place for at least the next hour or two. here's that radar that we were talking about earlier that kind of got us to do this OTT desk in the first place.
Right. There's a lot going on here on this map. We have the cold front, which is where that storm is firing on right there. Yep. And then we have, if you notice, there's another little line that's moving from the east to the west.
I'm going to see if I can manipulate the cursor a little bit at the top so you can see what I'm talking
Yep,
about.
right there. That's a great shot of it, Joseph. There's another little boundary, and that, as it makes its way off to the west, when that boundary and the cold front collide, that's where we could start to see some additional storm development up and down that cold front. The cold front is just to the west of Mayville, starting to move into just on the far northwestern part of Cass County, and we do have some additional thunderstorm development, it looks like,
and it looks
along
like,
this front.
And it looks like that it was at least starting to collide at one point, because aside from that isolated severe storm, you can kind of see on the radar, this was popping up too, and that indicates that there's uplift trying to start up there.
Right, and that's where that cold front is. The radar is located in Mayville, and so with the proximity of the cold front to where our radar site is, we're able to get a lot of high definition information. The bigger picture here, atmospheric energy. It was hot, it was muggy. When you and I went to lunch after the 6 and 6:30 p.m. news.
I needed a water bottle.
Absolutely, it was hot, it was muggy out there. For folks at home, when you're looking at this, those deep dark reds, those purples, that's 4,000 plus joules of kilograms of energy, which that's a lot of energy in a small package.
So basically all you need to know, he's saying that the atmosphere is very bubbly right now.
Yes.
Lots of bubbly energy. So where this red color indicates, that's about 3,000 plus joules. And that's where our severe thunderstorm warning is at. You may have noticed. That's where our severe thunderstorm is at. It's right within that bubbly atmosphere. Basically.
Absolutely. It's on the edge of what we call the cap. You and I talk about the cap, the lid on the atmosphere. And for folks at home, you hear us always say, well, we've got to wait until the cap breaks. And this is one of those times where we're starting to see the cap break. We have a little bit of what we call inhibition. Scientifically terms, we have what's called a little bit of inhibition in the atmosphere, and that keeps that lid on the atmosphere.
But that's beginning to break.
Absolutely, and we forecasted that with our models that we were looking at, where we start to lose the heating of the day. We get a little bit of extra push in the atmosphere from that cold front that's coming across.
It's finally breaking it, and now storms are popping up. That's why we got to that 40,000 feet earlier.
Absolutely. The energy, it has to go somewhere.
Yep. And you can see even that energy is still expected to stick around well into tonight. So the yellow color represents at least 1,000 joules of energy. So we're still looking at an unstable atmosphere over the next several hours, even into the night, which means, again, the possibility of severe storms even continuing into the overnight hours. And let me show you what I mean on our first look forecast here. So again, this model's not exactly verifying correctly, but where we have that severe thunderstorm warning, it's showing instead some light green, but at least it's showing the place correctly, more or less, where that cold front is, more or less. And notice that by around 10 o'clock, that's when we really see those storms lighting up. So by around 10 or 11 o'clock, we may see some more isolated, discrete cells, and that indicates some really strong winds possible too, and that threat may extend all the way down into the southernmost areas of our region. But luckily, that threat moves out early morning tomorrow.
Absolutely, and then we get a little bit of a break, and then we start to see some additional thunderstorm development possible tomorrow. Some of that, Joseph, is going to depend on what happens to these storms overnight tonight.
Definitely.
Do these storms hang around? Do they leave what we would call a boundary for additional thunderstorm development tomorrow? And the biggest question is, how much energy do we get? How much sun do we see in southeastern North Dakota?
Is it going to pull up all the energy, or is it going to leave enough behind for other storms to play with?
Absolutely, and that's one of the wonders of meteorology. That's why we're in this in this business, is to be able to take a look at that and understand it a little bit better every day.
So, any last thoughts? If you want, I can pull up our faces one last time before we get back.
If we can, let's head back to the radar. It looks like we just got a new radar update here from our friends at the National Weather Service in Grand Forks. If we're able to pull that up a little bit. The thunderstorm is starting to move over towards Alvarado. It is still severe warned. I expect that we'll see an update from our friends at the National Weather Service office in Grand Forks over the course of the next minute or two. they'll let us know, are they expecting this thunderstorm to continue to be severe warned. I am taking a look at the thunderstorm. It is showing a little bit of rotation on it on the far southern end of the storm. Does not mean that a tornado is imminent. A lot of thunderstorms rotate, especially when they're in conditions like this.
It does show a very strong thunderstorm indeed.
Absolutely.
So even if it's not tornadic, that means wind damage is more likely with that storm if it does hit a structure.
Yeah, wind and hail.
Yeah.
That's really going to be a couple of the larger threats. A lot of thunderstorms rotate. That's one of the biggest questions that I always get, and I know Russ gets it when he's out in the field and doing a lot of talks. He gets questions like, well, how many thunderstorms rotate? Well, the answer is a lot. Almost every thunderstorm rotates to an extent, especially when they look like this. They kind of look like that flying V shape.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of, you know what, this thunderstorm definitely needs to be watched. And we're going to watch this throughout the rest of the evening. You know, I'll be, you know, we'll be on the CW here at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'll have a full update for our folks here at home. Make sure you tune in, and then you'll be here at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And we'll be kind of tag teaming here through the 10.
Yeah, definitely. Any last minute things you want to say? If you want, I can pull up our faces one last time.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I would say, make sure you have the Valley News Live weather app handy, and stay right here with Valley News Live. We'll keep you apprised throughout the rest of the evening.
Definitely. Make sure to be safe out there. Again, as Eric mentioned, we'll be on through the rest of this evening, and I'll likely be staying during the overnight hours watching the severe weather threats. So keep the VNN weather app on standby, and make sure to watch our broadcast for those cut-ins and stuff too. In the meantime, we're going to get off of here so that Eric can get ready for his show. I kept it here long enough. Thank you for watching. Be safe out there.